Hello, everyone, and welcome to CFS Summit 2022, Render the Phygital Reality. My name is Enrique Menendez, Editor-in-Chief at CFS, and your host for this year's summit. We're so excited to have all of you with us on our opening day in virtual reality at the Grand Palais Éphémère in the Spin Metaverse. Over the next 4 days, you'll be hearing from top creatives, executives, movers and shakers across the Web3 fashion, culture, art, and architecture industries. The 4-day exploration will cover everything from what it means to be human to how we can implement circular practices across manufacturing supply chains. We will focus on phygital technologies' ability to achieve circular retail models, to design inclusively and efficiently, and to connect company culture to the creative zeitgeist. This year's CFS Summit comes to you as part of a new exploration for CFS, where we have established ourselves as CFS Circular Fashion System, the Web3 hub to fashion, science, and culture. And as you'll notice, these 3 words serve as the structure for the bulk of our program. Today's day 0, or opening, a foundation for Web3 fashion, science, and culture. Then we'll move on to day 1, culture, the art of phygital. Day 2, fashion, the new look now in Web3. And day 3, science, the method for retail evolution. For today's opening panel, I'm going to pass it over to Lorenzo Albrighi, co-founder and co-CEO at Lablaco, Eliana Quo, co-founder and co-CEO at Lablaco, Roy Amit, General Manager at the Grand Palais Éphémère, and Pascal Morand, Executive President of the Fédération de la Haute Couture et la Mode. And I'll pass it over to Lorenzo.
Welcome, everybody, to CFS 2022 edition at the digital twin of the Grand Palais Éphémère, taking place in the Spin Metaverse. And we're here today with Pascal, Roy, and Eliana. And I'm really looking forward to have each one introduce themselves. They are, of course, well known in the fashion industry, and they've been working with us and really helping us in our journey of creating a digitized circular economy collectively since 2020. And just before we start, I'd love to give a little retrospect, because this is a very special year where we are getting back to a post-pandemic world. And this journey has actually started back in 2020, where with Roy, who believed in us since the day 1 of our project, gave us the opportunity to digitize the original Grand Palais, which has been made in a historic first Phygital NFT, where we hosted the first Circular Fashion Summit back in 2020 in virtual reality. And since then, we have been then digitizing the Grand Palais Éphémère last year, and really providing an opportunity to everyone to meet in person under the restrictions of the pandemic, which has been affecting us all. So no further ado, I'd love to start maybe with Pascal, just to introduce yourself. And
so yes, briefly, so nice to see you again, and it's a pleasure, and like last year, to be with you at the same time of this event, the moment. So I'm the executive president of the, I said in French, Fédération de la Haute Couture et de la Mode, which is Federation of Haute Couture and Fashion. And I can just say again that we have 2 roles. One is to gather not only French, but international designers brands as member in a very selective way, designers brands and luxury brands, in creative fashion and luxury fashion, and in parallel, we are also an events organization, since we organize the Paris Fashion Week and the Haute Couture Week, including the physical version and since the pandemic, the digital, the online version of these big events. And I'm an economist, basically, as a identity. Fantastic. Professional identity.
Thank you so much. And Roy, if you can introduce also the Grand Palais organization, and what is it, how it works, and how you are leading the digital transformation.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, everyone, and good morning. My name is Roy Amit, and I'm head of innovation for the Réunion de Musées Nationaux Grand Palais, and recently managing director of Grand Palais Immersive, which is one of our new activity, which is really centered on the phygital, as you say, Lorenzo, proposing the same time physical venue with a highly digital experience. The RMN Grand Palais has several activities and venues, also the Grand Palais, which is under renovation, the Grand Palais Éphémère, and now the Grand Palais Immersive. We are delighted to work on this type of innovation where digital and physical come together to take us forward into a better world.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And also Eliana, our co-founder of Lablaco, if you'd like to introduce yourself and a bit more about the Spin Metaverse and CFS.
Yeah, just super quickly. It's Eliana, co-founder of Lablaco, together with Lorenzo here as a moderator. And so basically Lablaco is building the Web3 circular fashion ecosystem, where we have two main kind of activities. So from one side, we have the technology platform called Spin Metaverse, where the Circular Fashion Summit, CFS Summit this year will be held. And from the other side, we have the CFS event, which is where we gathered industry experts from fashion, science, and culture to basically discuss the future and the solutions for the fashion industry, to basically with the aim to push the industry towards the digitized circular economy. So yeah, super looking forward to have everyone and explore the future.
Thank you so much, Eliana. And yeah, this year, touching upon also what Roy just pointed out, the importance of phygital. We are getting out of the pandemic with a lot of scars to show. You know, there's a lot of change that happened, good and bad. But I think that also the acceleration of digitization has been a positive thing that came out of these 2 years of lockdown. And this year we will be focusing our attention to the summit to what we call rendering this new phygital reality. So not escaping, let's say, in the metaverse, but how really we can use these technologies to enhance the physical world, and how we can use them to actually accelerate the transition to a digitized circular economy, which is data-driven and using the Web3 technologies from blockchain to IoT to VR, AR, and all the exciting new things that are starting to become more, let's say, available and, let's say, adopted in the industry. So I would start by asking, how would you define a phygital reality in 2022, and how do you find AR and VR technologies enhancing your works respectively? Pascal, maybe we can talk with you on, I think the big memory I had was when you came in 2020 in the Circular Fashion Summit with all the CEOs of the fashion weeks, and how that was kind of one of the only events in person happening in the calendar that year, because it was all locked down. Maybe that could be a first touch point, and see, because that was purely VR, but how can we see this diluting into a phygital reality now that we get out of the pandemic?
So maybe if I talk about fashion, and let's say more globally, but with fashion at the core of being the core of what we do, as you said, the pandemic has hugely accelerated, and to me it has marked the real entrance into the 21st century. And we are now, let's say, at the end of the beginning. It has started, and it goes very quickly. So I can remind that concerning that, let's say, the Fashion Week events, what we did was just to set up a platform on the Fashion Week online, and which worked very well, because we had no experience. We partnered with a data company, which is Launch Metrics, for the platform. And And concretely, we, in terms of visitors, not huge, but we also including like a magazine, activities for members, like a professional, it's open, but and we went up for the 6th event in the year to 1 million visitors. Now we will be around 2 millions, but at the same time, we amplified all this through partnership with YouTube and Tencent. So independently of what the brands are doing, what we do, it represents something like in 2021, like 1 billion views, and it will be much more like in 2022. So it's going very quickly. But let's say it was innovative. Now it becomes classical just to do that, and we have to be we work at at a rhythm which makes that any innovation can be like passé, almost outdated 1 year and 1 year or 2 years or 2 years after. And this also implies or explains why so many people just have this difficulty to catch up. But this is technology. This is the third, whatever we call it, third or fourth industrial revolution. So now, just to define this phygital world, I would say this is just the real world, our real world. We will not live otherwise. So we know that it will be like a combination of both worlds in any aspect. So if I take the example of the Fashion Week again, we also know that there are some like emotional, like scientifically, that some emotional and neurophysiological matters which for a long time will imply that the sensory and emotional experience is not exactly the same. So for all these reasons, there will be this idea for people still to meet. It's great to see each other or to be like in the metaverse, but let's say the body and the soul constitute one unity. That would be a philosophical debate we have no time to discuss about. But all this is absolutely complementary, and the notion of metaverse, it's like one word, but metaverse, we all know where it comes from. It comes from the immense science fiction author Neil Stephenson, and it's 30 years old. And why did he say that? Because you heard that, these novels, because he didn't like the notion of virtual reality, which is a paradox he wanted to overcome. So let's say, to me, there hasn't been like a disruption with this metaverse, with what we live now, but it emphasizes one more step in the interactions between the virtual and the virtual world and the physical world. And then we will see what happens. We will see what will be the positioning of the big tech companies, of let's say players like Lablaco, who are very much involved, have started, and with also a high level of expertise, with the notion of the interactions and compatibility between the universe. Can we jump from the Decentraland to the Sandbox to many all the others which will appear? And so, what will be a world? And this will be designed, this world, by all of us. But we know that the technology is here, and we know that just sticking to the physical world is only good and satisfying for people who give a privilege to nostalgia. It's over, fully over.
I agree. That was really interesting. It will tie into the second question, what you just remarked on the closing of this answer. And yeah, I also love to hear from Roy. What are your thoughts and on this topic?
So I think, first of all, and I totally agree with Pascal, that innovation is first of all a state of mind, and second is not an objective by itself. And of course, when we're speaking about digital, both are not, let's say, there for their own sakes, but for the sake of being contemporary, which means living in our time, we need to be innovate, and we need to have a digital, because it's part of our day-to-day life on any other aspects of it. And for us as a cultural institution, we think we must be contemporary, which means to be innovate and to take into consideration all the aspects of digital that that go ahead very, very fast. This is why, like 2 years ago or 3 years ago, we were collaborating on this like first digital twin of the Grand Palais, then of Grand Palais Éphémère, and today a digital twin, it's almost like normal to have. And this is one of the example, because our opening exhibition of the Grand Palais Immersive present a digital twin of Venice. And it's a digital twin of Venice, but it's presented in a physical space, which means that this kind of articulation between physical and digital are just starting, and they'll go further more and more. And ourselves as a cultural institution should be really connected to this movement.
Absolutely. That was really, fantastic memories of digitizing the Grand Palais back in 2020. And it's really great to see, as you say, that now everything is so mainstream in this regards, when it actually was totally not back then. And I'll tie into that, because also this brings us to the next question. But I'm looking forward also to hear about Eliana. How do you see using Spin now that it's becoming more and more connected to the physical world through the virtual reality and AR, VR experiences? So
yeah, actually with this question, I would love to touch more on the humanity side, because I think 2022 is a super interesting year, because we think that pandemic's kind of over, but like this summer, basically we were traveling from Taiwan to Paris and then back to Taiwan. Actually, we were seeing the world is divided in multi-realities, because from one world where like people without a mask were on the street, but then on the other side we're all with a mask. So I think 2022 kind of not divided, but we can see the world has been divided in a few different kind of realities, which could be like having a huge impact on the mentality of the humanity, like human side, because actually fashion is super linked to the human people, because actually fashion is people, people is fashion. So on the other side, we can see also a lot of terms like metaverse or crypto. All these terms have been basically translated in different kind of definitions. So a lot of people having different type of fear or like sensation for these terms, which if you go deep into the definition, actually it's not that scary. For example, when we talk about crypto, some people think about decentralization or centralization, or NFT itself, probably just a blockchain technology. It's not and scammy like financial tool. So I think interesting part, not only how we adopt innovation to merge to reality, but also how we communicate in the way to have all the people have the same understanding of this technology. Because in the end, if we're talking about different languages and then to push technology, probably it will be not having that much impact if we like push innovation with a strong main message. So yeah, I think this is something interesting I would like to share.
Thank you. And I'll share a couple of thoughts also myself, because this ties into the next question, which kind of follows up the conversation to dig a little bit deeper. Because, for example, we started building what now we call the metaverse, but before it was just called VR, and NFTs, we just used to say tracking products on blockchain. Now the terms are becoming more and more, let's say, understood and more mainstream with these new terms. But I would say that the reason why we started to build the metaverse for our mission, which is to create a digitized circular economy, was in fact to bring people together in a moment of distress where no one could travel and whatnot. But does it actually take such a huge disruption for humans to evolve? That was kind of, couldn't we just get out of our comfort zones and keep innovating and keep pushing the boundaries without these, let's say, forced situations, for example, And because from our side, we also were pitching beyond Grand Palais also to other institutions. And they said, all of them, I would say, oh, we're not ready. This is too high tech. We don't understand it, And so, but now everything is getting more normal, and everyone, as Roy was saying, everyone is starting to have digital twins for their assets and buildings and whatnot. But what is, do you think, in the human mind, as Eliana was also saying, the trigger and the reason why sometimes you need these strong disruptions in order to evolve and accelerate innovation? And what are the blockers that keep us rooted in our day-to-day routines without stepping into the uncomfort of innovation? Maybe Roy, we can start with you this time, the other way around.
It's a kind of a philosophical question. The articulation between evolution and revolution was always combined. So in all other aspects of life. So there's sometimes there are revolution that needed, and when it take place, sometimes it's due for an exogenous phenomena like pandemic or war or whatsoever, and sometimes it's just evolution of the situation that we can only understand it in a retrospective way. So I don't know how to answer talking from today about the future, but knowing that the structure is always the same, like having revolution, having evolution, and they are combined together in a much longer process, which we might call history. So this is kind of a philosophical answer, but I think it's describing what we are into.
Yeah, I can continue, but first I would like to say I very much agreed with what you well said and Eliana said, and the human aspect, and also the notion of modernity and being contemporary. You said contemporary, and this is the point. So we can deny what's contemporary world, or you can live with it, but if it is denied, if we deny it, we're out of the scope in what's happening, because the point is, can go directly to the question. I mean, technology always wins. It looks a little bit like Marxist, what I say, somehow, because like the production and technology in the global sense, but others, many authors say that, and then the question is that we are not, let's say, over-determined by what's happening. It depends also. I mean, the human beings have the power to do with the technology. They create technologies, but then technology is not enough to make an innovation, to have an innovation, because innovation has to be appropriated. And that has been exactly the same story with electricity and with the electricity revolution, like the second industrial revolution more globally. Many people didn't want cars; they wanted to have their horses in the streets, and many people and late didn't want to just kept candles. They didn't want to have like lights. So this is, I mean, the changing is not natural. We can consider, I think all of us here and many of the people who listen, who watch us, consider that not unchanging is something which is like terrible and extremely dangerous. But if we take the things more globally, and even in terms of neurophysiology, the brain itself, is spending a lot of time to imagine not to change. 80% of the activity of the brain is dedicated to making loops in getting back to old things and mixing them again together and making loops and loops and loops and loops. And maybe less for the younger people, for sure. But that's, you see where we can go. But this is the point. So this is why we have to just to foster this, and we have to shed light on in a material and immaterial way on what's going on, and also to take with us and to have maximum of exchanges with us, and to be like sort of reassuring, because this is stressful for many people and we can understand. But there can be other innovations that we don't know, with technology that we don't know, like in medical field and other field, that there can be stressful for us, but we don't know so much what's happening with this technology. So, I mean, we are very much in the knowledge economy. So this digital revolution gets along with, and is linked with the knowledge economy, which has long backwards roots, but we are now into that. And but if we take the first industrial revolution, you know, had been this series, I remember, German series that I recommend if you haven't seen it, which is called Heimat, that the land, the country in German, when you can see all the steam, the machines arriving in the land, in the country, in a small village, and they have more enemies, and this technology has more enemies than it has friends, but at the moment it wins. This is exactly where we are now. Exactly, beginning. So those who know can take the lead, not to say, "Oh, I am the leader," but just to help, and to support, and to explain and to dialogue. This is what we do today, by the way.
Absolutely, and yeah, I would say we're actually very blessed to be doing this with you and to do it in Paris, which is has always been the capital of innovation for art, fashion, and culture at large, I would say. And you know, I'm Italian, so I'm gonna have a lot of friends saying Italy is the leader instead. That's you know, for I would say for fashion, Paris is Paris. And yeah, I think that's it's really also a blessing to have such open-minded leaders like yourselves in leading this fashion council with knowledge, but also with some touch of spirituality, I would almost say, and kind of deeper understanding that it's not just B2B sales of products. There's much more to humanity and to society. And
if it would be B2B sales of products, I mean, it's very important for the business, for employment, and for everything, and for fashion. But let's say fashion will be boring.
Exactly.
So, and if we work in this industry, it's not to work in a field just which is boring. And although anything which is boring can be turned into something which is not boring, but especially not when aesthetics is part of the story.
Absolutely. And so this brings me also to Eliana.
Yeah, I think basically Pascal already covered everything. Totally agree. I would just add on. I think I always say technology is just a tool. It's most important. It's not how it is, but it's how we use it is the most important thing. So a lot of people probably will be scared, like, oh, technology is going to take over our job or change our life. But actually, if you look at from the other side, actually create a better system, it requires highly thoughtful intelligence and a humanity mindset. So it's how human to create the system is a key. It's not how system itself basically become stronger than us. I think actually this summer we had a lot of interesting experience with the technology itself. Sometimes the system is built, but it still needs to have very important logic to understand what if this technology doesn't work, what will happen, and what would be the let's say, solution. For example, I was always thinking the electronic car. So because it's electronic, so once like in the past, we can just like kick it and open the door with some like manual engineering. But with electronic car, if it's locked with the electronic, and I don't know what to do with that. So there's no back door to. So I would basically just lock in the electronic car. So I think a very interesting thing is we are not constrained by technology, is how we create it and also create it in the way with intelligence. That's the job of human being. It's not the job of machine, because machine itself doesn't know how to feed our needs. So yeah, I think human will be always as Pascal mentioned, there will be the leaders to first adopter and use this technology and lead other people and support other people to make it better and serve our needs, basically. So yes, very interesting and promising years to come.
Thank you so much, Eliana. And I think this brings us to the wrap. So I don't know, Pascal, if you have any remarks and any also thoughts of how this year is closing, and any vision for 2023, where we would, I hope, really be free as a human planet from this pandemic, because as Eliana was saying, we're free to walk around freely in Paris, but in Asia and other parts of the world, there's still lockdowns going on at this moment. There's still masks mandates and whatnot. So yeah, maybe just some final thoughts and vision for next year.
Yeah, well, it's difficult to make any forecast, because we know that we have to just to be all anytime to be resilient. This is what's happening, and this is contemporary, just to be always ready to be resilient with what's happening. But let's be optimistic. But then the question with that Eliana raised also with these the link with the technology and the fact of mastering the technology, it means in particular being stronger, remaining stronger than artificial intelligence. But it means also having an autonomy in a world which is fully interconnected. This is not only true for the digital, but I mean the technological autonomy. If you see with electricity, then the interconnection, when you have a problem somewhere very far away, it can also raise huge problems. Everything is connected. This is globalization, and technology brings also that. So when we talk about Web3 and decentralized approach and the decentralization, it will bring more autonomy, but it requires also a better knowledge, not only of the way of using technology, but of the better knowledge of technology by itself, by the users, so they can manage that, not only to have some notion of coding, but let's say more globally. And we have to watch very much this technological connection, and just to encourage this freedom, just to be, and to do so that this metaverse in which we are, I mean, metaverse being one universe, and also the set of all these universes, that it remains like a free new universe in which the world in which we are, and that's the challenge. Who will be the players? What will be in open innovation? How will that work? So it's up to us to design these worlds.
Absolutely. And Eliana, any final remarks on your side, and yeah, any vision of next year? And
yeah, I will just quickly touch the CFS, because actually we kind of rebrand this year the CFS, the whole thing. So we're super happy to have our new editor-in-chief joining on board. And basically, actually CFS, when it was founded, it was meant to be a kind of knowledge sharing media sort of platform to gather the like-minded mindsets, people who are looking for solutions, looking for knowledge, and to basically share all this news and updates in the what we can do for the next, basically. And as people or everyone, you can see the CFS website is updated. And so actually this year, because in the past we have fashion design, technology and sustainability. This year we changed the terms. We use fashion, culture, and science. And actually we did a quite brainstorming on changing these terms, and we put also definition on each of them, because we think actually fashion is bigger than that, sustainability bigger than that, and technology is just a tool. And how we can really package like 3 pillars where we can move towards. And we think fashion, science, and and culture are the 3 real pillars, because culture, for example, implies the whole, the art part, the policy, education, and social impact, like everything related to human being, how we can support the industry towards best. So from art, like all the art pieces and designers, the art concept, actually they're part of this story. So we create basically this pillar where we include all this people in this field. So in the future, next edition, we will have more from this part. And the science, we change it from technology to science for the reason, because technology, we think it's just a state of like describing the tech itself, but we think science meaning solution, meaning the knowledge. So we want to provide a solution. We want to provide knowledge for people to know how to use this technology and use for their own business or their own endeavors for good. So it's a science at large. So we can imply from every angle. So from how new materials can be created, how Web3 can be created, and digital, everything regarding the new solutions. So it's not just a tech itself, it's basically the solutions at large for the fashion industry. While the fashion itself, we always have interesting definition for fashion, because we don't think fashion industry only implies to the clothes. So we think fashion is more like a human behavior. And so for that reason, under the fashion field, we have all the fashion designers and people who are working in the fashion. We have the wearable, like real, like clothing, accessories, all this part, but also the creativity part. So how fashion space can be basically formed to create a new trend, because we always said fashion is more like registering human history in time, because we can, if we see the timeline, we can see every different timeline, how people are dressing differently, and they're all influenced by different culture, different history background, gender, everything. So these 3 basically concepts put together basically form the whole fashion industry. So yeah, we're super looking forward to have all these amazing speakers from like Cartier, Google. This time we can also have Apple, all the big tech companies also from the other side, the fashion companies, Kering, all these big companies, to put together and really kick off this new CFS journey and with everyone. So,
yeah, but I can just say you're right, and I think it's a good way to talk about like science and fashion and culture. You know, in a way, it has been the 3 pillars in the 16th, for instance, Francis Bacon in science, 16th and then 17th century. But no, it has this new, we are in this new age. And as you say, like fashion is like it's a system involving creativity, involving modernity, involving aesthetics, involving short cycles and branding. And then the short cycles, it links to the questions of the volumes, of the economy, of the ecology, etc., etc. So this is, I think it's a good. You have a good approach, and you are right to put science, because science is underlying technology anyway. So
yeah.
So let's live for fashion then, and keep on. Have a great fashion year.
Amazing.
And I would also like to, my final remarks, I would also like to thank our new retail partner, Galeries Lafayette, who are now supporting the CFS Hub with Kering, with their material innovation labs. And to recap and remember why we're here is not just to speak, but to actually act. And to act through actions, not through acting school. So actually real action. So we're very proud to let everyone know that in the last 2 years, we've been working and supporting independent designers with our yearly grants, providing them free advisory, free materials, free technologies to create next generation circular products that are IoT connected through the SPIN technology, but also other third-party partners like Fibertrace to track traceability in the supply chain, CircularFashion, who provide circular IDs, data IDs for the products for recycling and end of life, and also companies like Dapper Labs, who are our new blockchain partners. So it's one of the most sustainable blockchains that actually to create an NFT using the Flow blockchain from Dapper Labs requires less energy than an Instagram post. So that's the level of, let's say, commitment and attention to detail that we're bringing to this project. And thanks to Galeries Lafayette, we will be launching our first, what we call Web3 circular retail activation. So we're setting a 12-month partnership with them to bring Web3 retail to the bigger public. And also crypto.com is coming to provide safe and secure transactions with crypto payments. And we also, of course, provide fiat currencies with Stripe, so anyone can really access this new technology without any knowledge on Web3 required. And the exciting thing is that we will be showcasing all the creations from all these collective efforts of 2 years, which is going to launch in Paris Fashion Week in January as well. So very, very proud and happy to announce this, and very much looking forward to seeing you in the next panels to come.
Thank you. We will incorporate that in the events program of the Fashion Week then.
Thank you very much for this occasion. I hope this edition of the summit will be a great success in the digital twin, and next time in a phygital world. In any case, we are delighted to collaborate and to continue to innovate.
Thank you so much, Roy, and we look forward to make our first fully phygital event happen together next year. We're working for that, and very much looking forward to bring everybody back to the physical world with this new knowledge that we take from the pandemic years. So
thank you everyone for joining our opening panel. We would also like to thank our media partner Vogue Philippines, CFS Hub partner Caring, our retail partner Galeries Lafayette, and community partners Amex and Meta. We're so excited to have everyone together in VR in the Grand Palais Éphémère, and we look forward to exploring culture, fashion, and science together over the next 4 days.